George Howe and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This setup is going to be, well, it's obviously very different to what I'm usually used to, but I wanted to introduce some friends of mine who studied geography to give you insight into what it's like to be a geography student at the University of Oxford. So I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves.
So I'm Anlin, I'm in Keble College and I'm a first year geographer.
I'm Carrie and I'm also a first year geographer at Keble College.
Hi, I'm Hesnain and I'm also a first year geographer at Keble College.
Hi, I'm Bushra and I'm a first year geographer at Mansfield College.
Amazing. So those were your Oxford stats. But the first thing that I want you guys to try and do, which is pretty obvious, is to just explain what geography is all about. Just explain your subject. Literally anyone can go forward and just like answer what they want. It doesn't have to be like in any specific order.
Okay, so I would say that geography at Oxford is quite a nice sort of spread of the 4 modules that we do in the first year so far. So human, physical, geographical controversies and techniques. So it's a really good balance of human and physical, and it also encompasses like how they link. So a lot of climate change, a lot of environmental geography. And I think if you're someone who really doesn't have a preference and is quite even, then Oxford's really, really good for the course. But if you're also someone who does have a preference or a certain direction, then it's also the best place for you as well, because you can choose your pathways as the years go on. But so yeah, in summary, I would say the course is built to demonstrate how human and physical geographies are kind of interlinked and how we can apply that to the world that we live in.
Amazing. Does anyone have like anything else to add to that? Or did Hesnain summarize it?
I think I would say that what's interesting is also quite a philosophical element to it as well, that you don't really get so much at A level. So you spend a lot of time looking at like where your research comes from, how your research is produced, and it's more of a philosophical take on some of the issues that you maybe wouldn't have like come across before. So that's an element I wasn't necessarily expecting so much when I came, but it's actually really, really interesting.
Pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question, which is, why did you each personally choose to study geography? As in, like, were there any alternative options that you would have picked, but why was it geography that ended up being your like final subject choice?
I kind of picked geography because of the fact that it's so like interdisciplinary as a subject, and like it links into stuff that you can see happening in the real world. Like in my last term, I was learning a lot about migration in the Mediterranean, and that's like a crisis that's happening right now, like the migration crisis in the Mediterranean. And it's so nice to like be learning about something that, you know, it can be so applied to the real world. And like even in physical geography, like you have things like climate change as well. And it's also like, I don't know, the career that I want to go into in the future kind of fits in with like geopolitics.
Whose phone is not on silent?
Oh, me. My mom keeps calling me. Don't worry, I'll text her discreetly. Sorry.
Sorry, Bush, keep going.
It's fine. No, I was done. It was like the career that I want to go into in the future is like very much linked with geopolitics. So I was like,
I'm so sorry. I actually don't know because it's on my phone. I don't know how to silence it. Sorry, so sorry.
This is going to be kept in, by the way. Like, well, everyone's going to see this on YouTube after. This is not getting cut out. But so yeah, continuing on. What about the rest of you guys?
I guess that's kind of the opposite for me, when in the sort of, it's so interdisciplinary and I really don't know what career that I want in the future. So there's so much scope and like so many different opportunities that come with a geography degree. Like it's a little bit of social sciences, a little bit of actual like physical sciences, and there's just such a spread that it's just really good if you have no idea what you want to do, basically, because you learn so many different skills, so many different types of knowledge. I guess it's just great. Yeah.
But something that can like probably set you up really well for the future, because you just factor in a lot of particular aspects into like one subject.
Yeah, exactly. You have like a really varied skill set, I would say, at the end. So.
Pretty neat. Okay,
My situation was exactly the same as Carrie's. I wasn't even sure like what I wanted to do. So then the interdisciplinary nature of geography just fit me quite well.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. I think everyone who does geography will put on their personal statement that it's interdisciplinary. I did that too. Just because it's so true. Like if you do geography, it's probably because you did quite a broad range of A levels, or you just think that you're like quite good at all your subjects, and it's quite hard to pinpoint. So for me, I went through economics as a phase for a long time. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Then I went through chemistry. Up until results day, I was like, might just switch to chemistry, might decline my offer. And again, if you look at geography today at Oxford, both chemistry and economics have a massive part to play in our subject. Chemistry within the physical geographies, economics within the human. And I just think if you're someone who doesn't really have one specific interest, then geography is that subject that I would like push you forward to do.
Wow, that's pretty neat. Okay, so continuing on with that line, which is really great, Husky, that you did that, is what things did you personally do to help improve or like boost your applications when it came to applying to geography?
Read.
Sorry.
No, and then you go.
Yeah. One thing I did was looking at the student room on the internet, and they have lots of like personal statement examples. So just like look through them for geography, and then like you can do it for your subject, for your university you apply to, or if you're an international student like me, you can go to the international student PS page and look at all the examples, what they did well, what they didn't do well, and you can like really learn from it.
I would say to boost your application, and for geography specifically, or just subjects in general, would be to not only, like for Oxford specifically or Cambridge, Oxford, obviously try not apply to Oxford, your personal statement will differ from other subjects because it should be, not other subjects, other unis, because it should be quite academic. And I think to substantiate that and support that, you should try and focus on reading. For me, I said 3 books, but don't just read like Prisons of Geography or something like that. Like try and read a book that is quite niche. Might not necessarily have to be a geography book. It might be like a sociology book, or like something economic, for example. But you have to try and just read books that interest you genuinely, because if you're going to put it in your personal statement, you have to be prepared to be asked about that book and talk about it confidently in an interview. So yeah, I'd say really try and find a broad range, try and be niche, and show your specific interest in the subject, but also make sure you cover physical and human geography in your interest, because the course at Oxford is both.
With me, I kind of like looked at the components that I offer at Oxford, and I was thinking of how I could like kind of put either one or a few more in my personal statement, because like I felt like that would spark a conversation in my interview. And also like I feel like my one was quite different from other people's because of the fact that I made it quite personal, because I put like a Moroccan geographer in my first line, and then I knew that was going to come up as well, and I was like prepared to talk about it more in my interview. And I felt like that made it quite more personal. Like I know it's meant to be a personal statement, but I was like, it was something that I was like prepared to talk about, kind of.
Yeah, I agree. Like a mixture of all of those things. The other thing I'd say, listen to lectures, because it's a bit different now with all the coronavirus stuff, but I went to a couple of lectures because universities quite often, with all the open days and everything, they're also holding different lectures and things to try and encourage people to come and see. And I went to a couple of those and I talked about those in my personal statement. Like there was one at King's College about international development, and it just gives you a slightly different angle as well. So
that's really amazing. Thank you, guys. So the next question is going to be quite specific to Oxford. So I wanted to ask, how are you finding the course overall so far at uni?
Well, you know what? I don't think you can love the whole course. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think everyone will find something in the course that interests them. I personally love human geography. I think the modules are really cool. I think they're really broad. They're quite different to what you'd normally do. Really abstract things like what is place, what is space. Things that slip off your tongue, but you actually find definitions for them. And then the physical geography course is slightly more questionable. It's great, don't get me wrong, we've done it, but it's new, like it's very new. I think, so we have 3 modules in first year. There's geomorphology, ecology, and climatology. Geomorphology, probably all of you who are applying for geography will have done it at A level. It's like your coasts, your volcanoes, your stuff like that. Climatology is like the science, the chemistry, the physics behind weather systems and stuff like that, which isn't for everyone. It's very technical. And then there's ecology, which is bad vibes, but you know, we move, and it's actually like, it wouldn't put me off the course because it's something I'd never done before, and it's not for me, but I really enjoyed it. So that's all about like succession, communities. If you're interested in like the biology side of geography, then that is very much for you. So I think it's a very facilitating course, and I think I know that whilst not everything would appeal to everyone, it's definitely won't be the case when nothing appeals to you.
Do the rest of you feel the same, or
Yeah.
like, are there any differences in how you feel potentially?
I feel like it's better because when you get to second year, you can drop like Earth system dynamics, which is all of the complicated stuff that Hasnain was talking about. But like, I think you do environmental geography, which I don't know, like I don't know the full like outline of the course. I will ask my college parents about it, but I know that you can like go with human geography, and then that's what I'm planning. And then also you get to go on like a field trip in second year. If you do physical, I think you go to Tenerife, and then if you do human, you go to Berlin. So yeah.
No, I'd say I really was not thinking I was going to like physical geography coming into this degree, because like I didn't hate it, but I knew I definitely preferred human geography. But I personally really like climatology because it's completely new. I had not come across it at all at A level, and you know, not a big fan of geomorphology, really not a massive fan of ecology, just because it's not where my strengths are. But climatology is actually really, really, it's just really cool, basically, and it surprised me. And I think the decision will be harder than I originally thought. So even if you think that as a whole you don't like physical geography, as a lot of people do, I think there is quite a human geography bias, but there will be aspects of the course that will interest you and aspects that you will enjoy. So
Yeah, I would say geography is such a split personality. So like you have like human geography is one side and physical geography is entirely different side. And like in our collection, the first collection, where we like write human and physical geography like in one exam back to back, which is such a switch. Like, you couldn't really switch from human way of thinking and essay writing to the physical one, and it's just so split.
So in case you guys weren't familiar, a collection is literally just like a mock exam that we do at the start of each of our terms to test our knowledge from that previous term, but that'll be like taught to you and introduced to you if you were to get a place here. So don't worry about that too much, because a lot of us ourselves don't really worry about it either. So yay. Next question is, like, you've made it really clear already, but what is specifically your favorite thing about your subject or / Oxford?
So
Oh my gosh, why do you do this? Why
why do I do what?
just answer the question.
Okay, so basically, my favourite part of the course, I'd say the course and also Oxford, which I don't think is something you get at other universities, is the idea that whenever you do an essay, most unis you'll be doing like maybe 1 essay a term. That varies. When you come to Oxford and you do like 1 to 2 essays a week, which is a lot, you do the essay, but then you go and you have a tutorial with your tutor, and in the tutorial you talk about the whole topic, not just the essay topic, but the entire topic of the essay. So for example, if the question was on geographical location, you'd be talking about place in general. And what it means is every time you come out of that tutorial, I think we can all agree that we all feel quite accomplished, because you talk about it in so much depth with that tutor, and it's like three students to one, and you go through all the reading and everything, then you just feel so like, you feel like an expert in that topic. Not all the topics, but you feel an expert in most of the topics, and it just means that you come out of your degree just knowing so much about your course, and it's so like you really are an expert in your subject. And I think that's something about Oxford that I think I really do appreciate.
What about the rest of you?
In terms of the modules, I really like the geographical controversy, that's the one where you talk about all the kind of like the debates, the interesting stuff, how like different sides have different evidence to back their claims, and then see like how knowledge is produced, how everything comes about. And that is just really, really interesting. It's not really just studying about knowledge or facts or the thing, but rather to like see the evolvement, the process, and how it came about.
Yeah, I really love sort of the element of like current real world context that sort of runs through all of our modules, because everything we study is current, sort of happening right now kind of thing. And in a lot of the essays, you can bring in really recent examples. Like one of our tutorials that we had earlier on this term virtually, we spent a lot of time talking about coronavirus, and our tutor actually sort of set the work according to coronavirus and linked in a topic that was about science and the controversy surrounding science and sort of like the social context of science. I think being able to actually apply your knowledge and apply what you're learning to the world around you is just such an important skill. It's
Bushra, you're left. Talk.
I think also with lectures, like compared to other universities, we have a lot of lectures in 1 week. Like it's like every day we have a lecture in a week, sometimes 2 lectures in a day. And it's like you're getting your money's worth, and you're also not just having lectures about like human for the whole week. Like you're having human, controversies, physical. It's like mix and match. And then you also do like practicals, so like practicals in statistics. You get to use like coding programs, which kind of makes you feel like cool, but yeah, like you're actually getting your money's worth. So I think it's just worth considering Oxford if you want to apply for geography and stuff.
Okay, so now to like go against that, what do you think is the worst thing about your degree / Oxford? Like, what do you hate? And be honest, because people need to know the truth. So don't attack the uni, just express your stop. Just express how you feel.
Such a drama queen.
I'm not going to go first for this one.
Okay, I'll go. I think we kind of agreed on this. It's kind of, we all agree on this. It's not just me. So, kind of like how you have so many things squashed into 8 weeks.
I'm cancelled. I need to leave. I don't know how to stop this. Ah!
Put it away.
No, as in my phone is like, it's gone. As in I've had it on airplane mode and okay, I'm
right then.
Okay.
We'll keep going.
Yeah. So basically we have too many things. For example, in last term, in Hillary, we had like too many, like 2 essays per week for like 3 consecutive weeks. And they were just too much. We didn't have time to really explore the topic, even though we really liked it. We wanted to like know more about it. And we just didn't have enough time. We barely had time to do the basic readings, get the essay done, and move on. So if we have like more time, we could kind of explore the topic and learn the interesting sides about it. But then that was just not really allowed in the time frame.
Yeah, sort of linked to that, it's the constant time pressure. And although you do discuss around the subject in the tutorials and it's interesting and that's a really great thing, it also means that you need to read more widely than just the content than you might be putting in your essay. So it's actually a lot more work sometimes than just reading the essay. You have to sort of comprehend all the readings that you've been given and take it in properly, and that does take time, and I read a bit slower than other people maybe, and often can be quite last minute. So when you have a lot of deadlines that stack up, it can get to you, but it's something that you sort of learn to manage and deal with, but that pressure is sort of constantly there.
Yeah, one thing that's important to note is that Oxford terms are 8 weeks long, whereas other universities could have like 12-week terms at a time. So essentially we have to squeeze what could be considered 12 weeks worth of work into just 8. So if you look at it from the outside in, then it definitely seems like we are doing a lot more work than we are, and sometimes the time pressure just makes things a little bit difficult. So what Carrie was saying is definitely felt throughout for like the entire university, but it's something that you tend to like just push through because it's what the term is usually like, that's what just makes up the term. There are 2 of you still left to talk.
So I'd say the thing I don't like the most about the course, or like my experience, is the I think people have touched on it already, but just the idea of juggling, going to all your lectures every day, like sometimes there's two, you'll have like 2 lectures maybe a day, and then you'll have like a lab, which takes like 1.5 hours. And I think juggling that and going to your lectures, but then also knowing that you have an essay due in like 2 days that you need to do the reading on, and you need to write the essay, and it's like, oh, that's like, you wake up at 10, well, I wake up at 10, people wake up before that. I wake up at 10, I go to my lectures from like 11 till like, let's say sometimes 1 or 2. That's like a very productive time of your day gone. And then you're like trying to do your essay work as well. So I think time management, I don't think it's hard, I think it's challenging. But like if you're coming to Oxford, you will probably be someone that's quite good with time management anyways. I've also sorted out the cause issue, so that won't be happening again.
We thank God. Thank you.
Yeah, we really do.
Thank you. Okay, Bushra, last but not least.
I agree with everyone about time management. I think that is a big issue, but like you get used to it as the term goes by. Another thing that people should not be worried about is that like you're going to be used to like writing A-level kind of stuff, but then when you get to Oxford, the first essay you hand in, don't expect it to be like, oh yeah, like this is all right, this is good. No, it's going to get ripped to shreds and you just got to be okay with that, because that's the only way that you're going to progress. And yeah, like don't worry if you do make it in, then like you'll just be able to handle all of this. Like you just get used to it, and it just makes you better at doing things.
Yeah, I know with medicine as well, and like a lot of other subjects, your first essay is not going to be the best essay, but that's like the whole point of it is to allow you to develop and create new skills so that you know how to write an essay for the future, because like the bulk of a lot of learning within Oxford is through essays or problem sheets depending on your subject, so it's something that you'll get used to and you'll learn from. But one question that I think is really important to like discuss is a lot of people at uni and like in other places think that geography is an easy subject, and sometimes you can be mocked for it as well. What are your opinions on that, and what things have you experienced that sort of disprove people's statements about thinking geography is a really easy subject, or like all you do is colouring like maps and stuff? So what are your comments on that?
We definitely get the jokes all the time, especially from scientists who are like, just do a little bit of colouring in, just a little bit of colouring in. It is a scientist, but I think a lot of people are quite surprised when they hear what kind of things we're actually doing, because lots of people have this stereotype that geography is all just about rocks and beaches and geology and basically all of that, and then you say, oh, I'm doing an essay on drone warfare right now, and they're like, what? So I think people do gain a bit more respect when they realise how like sort of how diverse and how complex quite often the stuff we're doing actually is. But yeah, be prepared that you probably will have a few jokes made about you and colouring pencils. It's just inevitable.
I think people like need to understand that geographers are also good. Like you have to be like good at quite a lot of things, because you're doing like a lot of sciencey things like physics and chemistry within physical, and also biology with like ecology and stuff. And then with like human, you just need to be good at like essay writing, kind of be aware of like politics and stuff like that. And yeah, like it's just, I don't know, when I hear it's just rocks, I'm like, no, it really isn't. I just did an essay on philosophy and I had to include Descartes. It's just, no, it's not. It's nothing to do with rocks and stuff. That's like the bare minimum.
Any more comments? Oh, okay, go.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about geography as a subject. And I think by far, geography gets the most, like, abuse in Oxford. But also, I've realised that it's also the subject where people have really changed their opinion on it as time has gone by. It's unfortunate that you actually have to sit down and, like, debate with these people about why geography isn't what they think it is. But, like, even last week, one of my friends does physics, and he was like, he didn't say directly to me because he knew that I'd come for him, but he was like, yeah, personally, like, I don't really like the idea of knowing that I could just chat breeze in my essay and just use big words and get a first. And I was like, well, that's just not true. And I think you're right, a lot of scientists think that doing geography is like a cop-out subject because you're not sticking to laws and facts and stuff like that. But like, it's a very creative subject and you're judged on the way you think. So I think people need to be quite like, you don't need to prove to anyone that geography is good. Like, you know it is from what you study and when you experience it. And like everyone's like reiterated here, it's very interdisciplinary. You can relate to literally, I guarantee you, and I'm telling you now, any single subject at Oxford in your college, you can relate to one of those people and speak to them about something you've done. Maths, you do stats. Physics, climatology, literally E&M, politics, everything comes into it somewhere. And when you tell people that and you actually speak to these people like, oh, we did this today, they'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't know geography was more than, you know, rocks and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Is that it? Okay, we're gonna move on to what things did you wish you knew before coming to Oxford? Like specifically about your degree, or just like living in Oxford and studying in Oxford?
I guess I wish I knew how diverse geography really is. Because I know like geography is diverse, but didn't know that it really includes ecology. That was like a module that I did not expect at all. I don't know like how that would help me if I knew how diverse it is. But I just sort of kind of, it would be nice to know about it.
I wish I kind of knew that it's not going to be the end of the world if you do badly on an essay, because I feel like you start and you put so much pressure on yourself to, you know, make a good impression to start with, make a good first impression, prove that you deserve to be there. If you're there, you deserve to be there. And like, you don't have to constantly, you know, push yourself. There will be things that you don't do so well on. There will be parts that you need to expand on. But generally, tutors are really, really constructive. The feedback they give is incredibly constructive. And it's not any sign of weakness if you don't do well. It's not like, it's just all part of the process. And I think it can be hard to keep hold of that sometimes and keep perspective, but definitely I wish I'd known that.
I wish I knew how bad the clubs were. Joking, we're not going to talk about that. I wish I knew how like broad the course was. I think I didn't actually look at Cambridge at all before when I was applying. Like, I just, for some reason, I think because my uncle went here, I just kind of thought, yeah, like I want to apply to Oxford. But there are some key differences in the course. Cambridge gives you the ability to kind of specialise a bit more from the first year, whereas Oxford doesn't. Oxford kind of requires everyone to take the same modules and it be very broad. And that's just kind of up to you, like what you are better suited to. If you know what you want to do from the get-go, like apply to Cambridge. But if you know that like I like everything and I want a year of doing everything, so then I have the chance to like, you know, tailor my pathway, then apply to Oxford. And I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that it was a broader course, which isn't an issue for me now. But when I did start, I was a bit like, I don't really want to be doing all of this. But I really don't have any regrets. Like I'm so glad I did that. I'm here because I like the entire course.
I wish that I knew how intense it was. Like when I first started in Michaelmas, which is like first term, it was quite overwhelming, like the amount of work that we were getting. But like now I don't really see it as a problem. I feel like I'm used to it now. I feel like everyone has adjusted to it. Like some weeks when you get like 2 essays and then you have other things to do like labs and lectures, it does kind of get to you. But like just remember that like your health is worth more. And yeah, like once you just kind of get into that time management and organization, it just doesn't really affect you as much as it will do in like the first term.
Amazing. So this is the penultimate question, but aside from your subject, how is Oxford life in general? So like the pros and cons of living in Oxford, studying in Oxford, like aside from geography.
I want to say pros. This is something I feel really passionate about. Like I think all universities will grow really fond of each other. I think with Oxford and the college system, because it's like maximum 500 people in a college, like undergraduates at least, it's almost like going to school again. You kind of know everyone, and you might not be friends with everyone, but you do know everyone. Word spreads so quickly. So if you're going to do anything, be like, do it knowing people will find out. But also in general, like, I feel like some of the friends that I've made in these 2 terms, RIP, I'm closer with them, some of them, than I am with my friends that I've been friends with for like 5 years at home. And I think that comes down to like, the college system is so family-like. You've got college parents, you have welfare, you have so many different people, and you're like constantly in contact. You go and you eat dinner, like if you're at Keble, you eat in halls, you have dinner with the same people every day. And I think makes such a tight-knit community that I don't think I'd get somewhere else. But at the same time, the con, you can also flip that and say the thing that's a struggle here is that it's quite hard to talk to other colleges unless your subject is unless you go to, I mean, there are societies, and like geography as a subject is known to be very close. Quite hard to know how to approach other people in other colleges because they are all separate, but there's ways to work around it.
You guys like
Yeah, I
by
agree.
different periods of
Shall I
time.
go? Wait, shall I go?
Shall I go? Oh, who's going?
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe, catch a tiger, I do Bushra.
Okay, yeah, I agree with Hasnain. I think that like Oxford life in general, you're like definitely going to make friends for life, and everyone's nice. Everyone just wants to like know each other. Everyone's going into the same uni, like not knowing anyone. So, you know, like everyone's welcoming, and you also have a wonderful college system that supports you. I get along so well with my college parents. They always like help out and give advice when I'm stuck on like an essay or like reading. And because like, you know, they're always like a year older than you, they know everything, and they kind of just always know what to tell you, what to say, how to like calm you down if you're like stressing about something. But yeah, like, and it's a beautiful city, like it's so nice to live in, and because it's like quite small, you can get to places quite easily, and you will be making friends outside of your own college, like if you join societies and stuff. Like I'm in ACS, and most of my friends are outside of my college, so yeah.
I can vouch for Bushra with that because we met through basically ACS. So yeah.
No, I agree. And like societies are super important because I do quite a lot of music. I'm in a couple of bands, like university-wide bands, so I've met quite a lot of people from other colleges through that, and it's just so much fun. And I think it is really important that you sort of get out of that college bubble a few times as well, because it can get really, really suffocating if, you know, you're around the same people all the time. It's good to have a change of scenery and good to talk to some different people, do some different things, get out the library, all of that. But at the same time, it is really comforting to know that you come back to your college, you come back to your friends, the people that are going through all the same stress as you at the same time. Like it's such a shared experience, especially within the subjects as well. Like we're all if one of us is having an essay crisis, probably all of us are having an essay crisis at some point. Like it's just really comforting that there are people that understand what you're going through if you're having a tough time, and like to share the good stuff with as well. It's really nice.
Yeah, I totally agree with all those friends, and like the close bonds we form. And also I think it's quite nice. Like really want to have a big shout out to the tutorial system. So how we can get tutored by like actual experts in their field. It's just like such a privilege. And sometimes I feel like, why are they even teaching us? We don't know anything, and they're really like number one expert in the field. But then they are doing that, and just like be glad.
That's really like nice and humbling to hear. But the last like question, and thank you guys for like being a part of this, but the very, very, very last question is, what tips and advice can you give to future geographers? Like if it's your one bit of advice ever, like what one thing would you advise for upcoming geographers? It's like you can take some time to think about it. Just like if you had like only one thing to tell them, what would it be?
I'd say keep an open mind. I think just be completely open to any and all opportunities that come up while you're at Oxford, because, well, if you do choose to come to Oxford, there are so many, and I think it's probably true of any geography degree, but you will be surprised by the small things that interest you. Like, don't go in thinking, I've got a specific interest in this. This is the only thing I want to pursue. This is the only career I want to do. Just like take on board everything while you're there and make the most of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because like speaking from my own experience, I'm very like hard-headed. I know that I want to do like human geography and that's the one that I'm the most passionate about. But like now in first year, I've covered things like climatology, ecology, geomorphology. So I definitely think that keeping an open mind is really important because you're going to have to do essays on these subjects. You're not just going to be doing essays on like geopolitics or something. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm only doing that because I have. I'd say for me, my tip actually before, can I say a tip that's prior to coming to Oxford, like when you're applying? When you're reading books for your personal statement, which is a really big part, I'd say 80% of your personal statement for Oxbridge should be academia, not just books, but academia in general. Don't read the whole book if you don't want to. Like, don't do what I did, which is read 2 pages of every book and then claim I read the whole book, which luckily they didn't ask me about. But find sections of broad books if you want, or even like chapters in a book that you really are interested in, and just hone in on them, because it saves you from having to just be really bored and read a whole, like 3 whole books. But what it means is that you will be more like passionate to talk about specific areas of books that you're reading. So don't feel like you have to be an expert in the whole book.
If you're going to do that though, make sure you explicitly say what part of the book you read, because if you go and put down you read the whole book and they test you on a chapter you didn't read, then that's your fault.
Yeah,
like
that's kind of my
just
business.
be wise about what you feature in your personal statement.
Exactly.
But yeah.
My advice would be, you really have to like be on top of things by yourself. So it's like there's so much things that's like self-directed. No matter that's reading, writing essay, or even like the few studies we have, we're like completely given like no instruction almost. But you have to like really figure out how to work through things, how to figure things out. Just do lots of searches, read articles, and like reach out to tutors if you want to, if you need help, because they'll be really lovely. And if you need anything, just make sure you ask, and make sure to like really try to. It's really different from like in high school where you get like teachers tell you things, but here you really just learn things by yourself. So it's really all up to you.
Amazing. So that is all my questions done. Thank you so much, Anna, Kara, Husnain, and Bushra, for taking the time to film this video with me. Hopefully, if there are any future geographers out there, you have gained some useful insight into the subject and into the university. If you have any further questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll like direct them to the actual geographers so they can like answer it properly. But again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.